So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Back again after the international break with Paddy. I was here last night with Matt Hayes from the Last Word on Spurs podcast, but I was going to say that doesn't count, but it does because Matt's a good guy. He's a good mate of mine. But Paddy, delighted to have you back after the last 2 weeks.
Is it that long?
And you've been in Amsterdam and everything in that time, so
yeah, I kind of wish now at this stage that I hadn't, but I was. So, I'm still a little bit rattled after my weekend in Amsterdam. So I'm trying to get myself back on the straight and narrow, let's say.
Yeah. 2 seconds there. My camera just died for whatever reason, and a completely different camera turned on. So that's throwing me for a loop, everyone. There we go. We'll just move that
before I forget, and this is how bad I was. I don't even remember this happening. I got up on Monday morning in Amsterdam, and the guy that was with me said, "Do you remember the fella last night, the Villa fan?" And I was going, "No." He just came and put a point in your head and said, "Thanks for all the podcasts." And for the life of me, he probably told me his name, but your man that was with me said, "I'll be listening now when you're doing the preview for Spurs. Be sure to say hello." So if it was you, thank you. And I'm sorry that I was so drunk that I forget them. Anyway, that's that much out of the way. I had spent the day in the Heineken Museum, and those that had to work on Monday morning felt the need to give me all their free drinks when they were leaving. So we'd had a rare old session, basically free of charge in the Heineken Museum before we moved on to any other watering hole in Amsterdam. So anyway, that's the story, and thank you to whoever that person was. And there's probably a drunken picture of the two of us somewhere, because he told me that he took the picture of the two of us. So anyway, that's my embarrassing story out of the way.
There you go. I didn't go to Amsterdam. Unlucky for me. I stayed at home, minded the fort. That's what I did. But I'm looking forward to Villa being back at the weekend, though, I can tell you that.
I tell you, after watching what I watched in Amsterdam, I cannot wait to watch Villa again.
Exactly what I was going to say. I was just about to say.
Not only when I watched in Amsterdam, I watched plenty of international football, and it's just. I think it's dying. I think it's dead now. I just can't see how it's going to attract people to watch it anymore. Like all of them, I watched Northern Ireland beat Denmark. I watched Scotland play. I watched England play, and none of them got me off my seat. Like, it's just nearly impossible to watch.
And to be honest with you, it's probably where it's highlighted an awful lot, where there's an argument to be made. There's too much football being played. The players are playing too much. Like, I don't know, and I don't know whether that's not what I believe, but that's the argument that's being made. There's too much football being played. You see it in international games. Some players go out and they're nowhere near as good for their international team as they are for their club team, and maybe people can put two and two together and join the dots. But it's an interesting argument, and it's one that Jurgen Klopp makes, and very seldom, as I say that myself and Jurgen Klopp would have overlapping Venn diagrams on ideas and so on like that. But it's an interesting one. Put it that way. It's an interesting one to see what they do with international football going forward. One good thing actually that happened during the last 2 weeks, Paddy, before we get on to the Spurs game, is I took delivery of a beautiful Villa jersey, and at the time I thought maybe it might have been a score draw. One. I thought it was like one of those, and it's this beauty. It's the away kit, or the third kit from 94-96. And what was on the back of it when I got it? And this came actually, would you believe, I have an interesting story behind this. This came from Ukraine. I bought it on eBay from a lady from Ukraine, and she was looking for X amount for it. And I paid her 30 quid more because she was selling a lot of stuff to get out of Ukraine, essentially. And on the back of it is Slavo number 9. And I didn't even know that. So I thought I was getting a score draw jersey, and I ended up getting a real thing. absolute real thing with proper Premier League printing on the back of it and everything. And I was the happy boy when I picked it up, when it came through the post, put it that way. So it's going up in the wall there soon. Well, actually, it won't. It'll probably go on me at some stage because it fits me. So it's a lovely shirt.
One of my favourite shorts, and it's unfortunately I haven't got the money to be framing them all, but it's signed by Hugo Ekiog and Ian Taylor and Tommy Johnson and Gareth Farrelly. That's whose name is on. That's whose name is on the back of it, Gareth Farrelly. There's not many of them around, but so it's in the attic in one of those sealed vacuum bags, and I really need to do something with those. Either give them a good home somewhere else, or give them a good home on the wall here, or rotate these Terry Keane behind me.
Yeah, I've got two in the framers at the moment. My back round here is going to be revamped this small little bit soon. Fingers crossed, I have a couple of things coming. So, a little bit. Christmas came early for Neil there about a week and a half ago. So hopefully, you'll see those up before Christmas. But anyway, 6 minutes in, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Spurs, Paddy, and this is a game I suppose I've been looking for. I was looking forward to it before, like about 4 or 5 weeks ago, because it would have been a real test of where we are, given the time that we've played Newcastle, the time we've played Liverpool so far. We failed to meet the mark, which is a fair assessment of both of those games, I think. This one would be another kind of test of where we are and what's, where this team is at, specifically under Unai Emery. And then when you throw into the mix the fact they've had so many injuries, so many suspensions, and they're coming off the back of 2 defeats, this is one that Aston Villa can probably go into, even though it's an away game, and go, you know what, if we attack these people in the right way, we could have some really good joy in this game.
Yeah, and look, you had Matt on earlier. The guys on the Last Word on Spurs asked me to record a voice note earlier for their podcast, and what I said in that was what I'm going to say now, is that my overriding fear here is, I remember when Ange Postecoglou took over at Celtic, and Celtic had a few injuries, and I was like, oh, I'm worried about this. I think the day I watched them, they were down 5 or 6 players, and they were playing Hearts, and Hearts were playing quite well, and he just brought 5 or 6 players in, and they played exactly the same way, with the same intensity and the same verve that the first team did, and these were major first team players that were missing. As it is with Spurs, they're missing some really, really big players. So we still need to give them the utmost respect. This is not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. Like, his motto is that they never stop. Every player on that pitch, if you can't keep going for the length of time you're on that pitch, you're hooked. End of story. That's what he expects, nothing else. That's what they're building up for all week, is just in your face, running around like absolute March hares, getting the close, or getting the high block. They're really, really hard to play the ball out from the back against. So it's not going to be easy. That's his philosophy, and I expect it from whoever comes in, albeit we know that they're going to really struggle at centre half, and that's ultimately where we can get at them, I think. But I do worry when Ange Postecoglou is involved, because he's a class manager no matter where he's gone.
You mentioned 1 or 2 little things there, Paddy. It's difficult to play through them. I agree with that. Obviously, I think the fact that, look, it's going to be Højbjerg, I would imagine it's going to be in there. Maybe Bentancur, but Bentancur's only had 1 game under his belt, really, and that was for Uruguay. I'd imagine it's going to be Højbjerg that's going to be in beside Pape Sarr, a player who I think an awful lot of. That might open up a few avenues through the middle. Obviously, their centre-half partnership and their back four, I suppose, realistically, as a whole, is going to be completely different. It looks like Emerson Royal to the left, Pedro Porro to the right, and Davies and Dyer in the middle. I suppose the plus point for them is that Davies and Dyer both were at home. Or was Ben Davies with Wales? I think he might have been with Wales, was he?
Yeah. Could have been.
Could have been with Wales. But either way, there's avenues that Villa can attack there. But one avenue that Villa can really attack with, I think, is with Mr. Torres, our own Pau Torres. Because if people remember that massive, he can play a long ball like Mings, like Mings can. And I think it's an underutilized weapon. And, you know, against a lot of teams we've played against, we've been ball dominant. It's been difficult for us to do that. We've done it in a couple of games. Douglas Luiz is the same. Douglas Luiz played a lovely ball. I think it was in pre-season, wasn't it? Remember, we were looking at, he played a beauty of a ball over, and I think he met Watkins in stride and he scored. Someone can keep me honest in that one. I can't fully remember what the goal was, but it's just so good. And I think with the high line as well, a lot of people are expecting us to maybe try and play off the shoulder of players like that from maybe a Diaby pass, or try and get down the side of that defence. I think we might go route one. And I think that we might have some joy with this if they do try and press up. So we play out short from the back, Paddy, towards our centre halves. Their whole team pushes up and we go over the top. Is it too simplistic to think that we could do that, given that Pau Torres, I never shared up this, Pau Torres, bear with me there 2 seconds. Villa Report shared this today, that Pau Torres' passing prowess, passes bypassing 4+ defenders. He's in 6th in the league for those types of passes. And he's 7th in the league for total defenders bypassed, along with all the other great statistics he has there for passes forward under pressure and so on and so forth. I think we've a lot. What I'm getting at here is I think we've a lot more weapons against a high line than we think.
Yeah. Against the high line. As in,
yeah. For us, I think we're better suited to play against the high line than we are against the mid block, and definitely better suited than we are against the low block.
Well, we've got incredible passers of the ball, both long range and short range, and we're not used to giving the ball away. And if it's the passing into the final third that Pau Torres is just amazing, that he can open up a defence simply by one fullback pushing on and creating the vacuum on the other side to give the space for the other fullback to pick up the ball. How many times do we see that raking ball to Matt Cash standing on the periphery of the final third? It's absolutely a joy to watch. And we've so many players that can do it. Like Matt Cash has that raking ball. Luca Dean has it if he needs it. Lesser extent Konza, lesser extent Boubacar Kamara, but Douglas Luiz is just capable of doing anything with the football these days. He's just absolutely incredible. But you have a point. I think with what they have a centre half, we could probably see Watkins and Diaby really play off the top two and try and exploit them that way. That's how I see us getting change, rather than sticking that extra man up there. You know, it was interesting today looking at Jacob Ramsey doing all those turns today. He looked like a fella that's ready to go onto the pitch. Normally you only see a guy running in a straight line, and Jacob Ramsey was just amazing to watch. I'm not sure if we've lost Neil now, have we? We haven't.
No, we haven't. I agree. And that was going to be my next point that I wanted to bring up as well, is that, you know, our whole left side has been reinforced with returners in Alex Moreno and Jacob Ramsey. And I think that's a massive plus point for us too, considering that, look, Pedro Porro is an exceedingly attacking right back. And when you're playing against a team that's going to be playing that high line, he will bite at the chance to go maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 yards higher. And when he does that, there is space. And when there is space, you know, obviously, if you have these guys, if you have a rotation system, is what I'm trying to get at here, we could start the left side, and then we could completely change our left side. We could completely change our right side, and we still have a substitution then for the middle anywhere if we need to. And I think that that's a beautiful thing that Villa have at the moment. The fact that we could bring in, and I know he's probably going to be injured. Diego Carlos is probably out for this game. But let's say he was fit. You could move Konza to right back. You could bring in a change of pace player for Bailey inside there, or maybe you start Bailey, or maybe bring Bailey in there, should I say, as that change of pace player. You've Zaniolo on the other side. You've got Moreno. You've got Jacob Ramsey. And I expect to see that utilised against this Spurs team, because another good way to play against the high line is to keep that defence turning, because there's no better way to tire out legs than having them turn and having to get them to turn and to run all the time. It's exceedingly difficult to do that for 90 minutes of the game. It's a lot easier to pick your runs and move laterally and move forward. But if you're turning around the whole time, you're creating another variable. There's another area of friction. You're going to have people will fall, people will stumble, people will stop, will lose that first step or that second step. People will roll an ankle, things like that. And if you have that ability to be able to change both of those sides and attack down those wings against that high line, it's easier said than done, but it's in theory, it's a massive plus point having those guys back too.
You got to remember that the shoe can be very easily on the other foot, and their weapon is the man that regularly exploits a high line. And I can't help but think about the time the ball went under the foot of Bjorn Engels a few years ago, and in injury time, and when Heung-min Son went in and scored. And look, that was the old Aston Villa, but unfortunately, it still hangs in the back of your mind that opportunity is there. He is a world-class player and could definitely, punch our defence. I don't care what anyone says, how good your defence is. The man is capable of anything. But that is a concern on the opposite side of the stick. If they choose to play that raking ball, Konza, I think, is deceptively quick. But if he switched over to Pau Torres, which you very likely do if they feel Pau Torres isn't as quick as Konza, that he could play off his shoulder rather than play off the left.
Yeah, and that is true. A question for you I would have, Paddy, and look, it's not likely that he's going to run out of steam, but I think Spurs, that's an area to feel that Spurs are thin on the ground in as well. We've spoken about they're going to be missing Bissouma, they're going to be missing Romero, they're going to be missing Van de Ven, they're going to be missing Udogie, they're going to be missing...
Udogie is back, I think.
I think he's injured. I think he got injured.
Did he?
That's what Matt said last night, is that he's injured. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to make it.
I thought I saw him training today somewhere.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like he's got... Well, even if he does make it at left back, I still think they'll probably play Emerson Royale over there. But it's up top is lesser spoken about, with the fact that Richarlison is injured, Maddison is injured. Their front four is their front four. And for the life of me, I can't think of a massive substitution that they could bring off the bench. I could be wrong, because I'm drawing a blank here, but I can't think of a huge substitution they could bring off the bench to freshen it up there. So keeping them quiet early on.
Yeah, I think Lo Celso is the only one really that could come off the bench. They brought on Gill as well, or Hill, or whatever you pronounce it.
He'd probably start Lo Celso, I'd say, instead of Maddison in that middle role.
Well, he played Sarr, Bissouma, and Højbjerg the last day.
Well, Bissouma's gone. Bissouma's
gone. Yeah, I would imagine it was Bentancur. He looked solid enough when he came on against Wolves, in a team that was wilting around them. But Brennan Johnson can hurt us. Kulusevski, we've seen what he can do as well. There's still plenty there. It's just a question of, have they got it in the tank to compete with us for 90 minutes? Right now, I'm saying the answer is no. I do believe we have enough now to go. I would have liked to see us play a full strength Spurs, but I'd just as much like to go and see us beat an under strength Spurs as well. I'd gladly take it with both hands and get a nice moral victory going into the two bigger games afterwards.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think so too, because that's the thing. We do have games coming up that we need to we need to get points on the board. Arsenal's going to be difficult. Man City's going to be difficult. Spurs are going to be difficult at the weekend. What we're doing here is we're spitballing, not out of confidence, but out of areas I think that we can put in the plus bracket for Aston Villa Football Club. I suppose one of the players they probably will have on the bench will be Alejo Vélez, the Argentinian striker that came in from Rosario Central over the summer. Very highly thought of, only 19 years of age, has three appearances for Spurs, but scored 19 goals in, I think, just shy of 40 games for Rosario at 18 years of age. So he's no more coming off the bench.
63 games he played.
Did he play 63 games? You have it?
I have it in front of me here.
Was it? But still, that's a decent record for anyone who's 18. When he's scoring those goals. So is somebody that's going to take marking as well if he does come on. Very highly thought of, as I say, and Spurs went to get him early before other clubs went to get him, and they very much see him for somebody to come in and probably take the mantle from Son to play up top. Yeah,
and look, if they go behind, it's quite likely we'll see him come on and just give that raw burst of pace and strength. He's very highly thought of, and I think they got him for a steal in the end, compared to how people were bigging him up at the time. So he's there, albeit only 3 games for Spurs. I think most of them were in I think he had 2 Carabao Cup games and 1 league game, I think, if memory serves me correct. David is asking there about Tielemans. Yeah, I knew you were going to get to him at some stage.
Excellent list.
Oh, well, look, we spoke about all the great passers of the ball. He's probably one of the best or most underrated anyway, of what he can do. As you know, I've ordered that third strip with Tielemans on the back. The guy has just really stoked my interest.
And I got Kanza.
You got Kanza, yeah.
I got Kanza.
Yeah. So I think there will be many games for him in the future, and this could be one of them. Go on.
I think he plays the game, but where he plays depends on what Michael Huggins asked here is what's the news on McGinn. With McGinn taking a knock, and I think Tom Colomes, I can never pronounce his name. Can someone please put phonetically how to pronounce his name in there? He says that it's very optimistic that he'll be playing on Sunday. That he's responding to treatment and it's only a knock, and he should be available for Spurs on Sunday. Things are trending up in the right way. So it's I would love to see McGinn in there. But the beauty of Jacob Ramsey coming back is that, we've got another person to come in there. We've got another option to play that box midfield.
A different option, a ball carrier, someone who'll take the ball into really prominent positions and lay it off and tends not to give the ball away stupidly as well. So it's just something different that we have the option having him in there. It excited me today seeing that he's back, not only on the grass, the way he was turning. That was the club telling us that he's ready. Whether he's ready to start, whether he's up to that fitness, I don't know, but he's definitely ready to play, or he wouldn't be turning and twisting like that. For anyone that's ever had an injury, you don't turn and twist like that if you're carrying something.
And I think what that will do as well is it will free Zaniolo to go up top. That's my thoughts on it. Unai Emery has said previously, Zaniolo's came to England, has had the turmoil that he's had with regards to the stories back in Italy, and he also said that he's had to do a job out in that left wing, and it's not the position they brought him into play. So more excitement than anything else, I would say here, and that I suppose also puts a little bit of a spotlight on not the Argentinian John Duran, but John Duran himself, to see if he can make his way onto the bench. But it does open up an awful lot of avenues for Aston Villa. Maybe opens up avenues for Zaniolo to go to the right hand side. Maybe it opens up. We bring in Zaniolo, we push Diaby out into the right hand side. If we're bringing Bailey off, it keeps that pace threat on that side. Zaniolo plays behind Watkins or maybe up top beside him as well. I just see that as a more natural position for him in the Premier League. And once again, it's just an exciting thought, I think. And the reason I bring it up is because we talk about, I mentioned to Matt last night, or one of the phrases I said was, Aston Villa have had an incredibly stable team this year, and that's even with missing 4 first-team starters for the year until now. So the fact that we're getting 2 of those first-team starters back is a real shot in the arm for us at a time when we need it, coming into a period of lots of games, lots of tough games, and a time whereby if we get a couple of the right results, or even if we stop teams from getting results against us, could have a huge effect on the league at the end of the season. I personally think the month of December is really going to be a moving month for Aston Villa because of the teams we play and the points we're not expected to win against those. Mm-hmm. But we all feel that we can take points from those games, if that makes sense. And that starts this Sunday against Spurs, albeit in November.
Yeah. And look, it's actually an exciting run. You don't get through 2 months without having to play a couple of the big boys. You have to play them 12 times a year, or the perceived big boys. So to go into that month, with obviously we've got Legia Warsaw, then Bournemouth, then Man City, then Arsenal, and then we've a couple of nice fixtures in there. We've Burnley, we've Sheffield United. Memory escapes me. We've Mostar in there as well. So it's a busy month and a good month to have 2 fresh players coming back in, because we're going to need to rotate because people are going to get tired no matter what way you look at it. It's the time of year for niggles as well. It's the time of year for watching those tight calves and tight hamstrings. Yeah. training will be a lot more in the gym until the frost lifts a bit off the pitch every day. So yeah, they'll be watching everybody over the next few weeks, and with it, we've got 3 midweek games then in more or less in a row with the 2 European games and the Man City game on a Wednesday night. So there's a lot going on, and yeah, as I keep saying, just get us to January in this position. I'll be very, very happy.
Exactly. And David Dwyer makes a huge point here as well. I think McGinn and I think Luis are on final yellows.
And Dean, Luca Dean as well.
And Luca Dean. Yeah, Luca Dean. Well, I suppose, look,
I didn't think McGinn was the other one. I thought it was someone else. Anyway, there's neither here nor there. Maybe this weekend is the game to pick up that yellow card.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask, because it was asked in the game. I'm not a fan. Well, I won't say I'm not a fan of tactical yellow cards, but maybe I'll have to become a fan of tactical yellow cards if referees are going to start booking for what they've been booking for at certain parts of the season, but not every part of the season. And then Howard Webb comes out and says that he wants to ban the simulation of cards going up to referees like that, but they were supposed to be doing that at the start of the season anyway. I don't know. It's not a conversation that I think we should have, Paddy, because we're 26 minutes into the podcast and I need to get back to bed because I'm still not feeling great. So that one we could stay here till the match kicks off talking about that one. But the yellow card situation is something I think that we do need to look at, because it doesn't reset until game week 19. So there's still a bit left to go there. Before that,
and look, we're not going to be the only ones to be watching these rack up. Well, they haven't been as consistent for some teams. Obviously, they've let themselves down really, because I have a video of what's your man's name, Almiron, doing this into a referee's face and getting nothing. So they're totally inconsistent. So it's one of those ones. Look, I remember being in a position where I was told to go out on the pitch and take a yellow card and take the ban. It happens. If you've got them roiled up and the 10 minutes to go and you're 2-0 up, take the yellow card, take the week off the following week. That's what happens. And look, that's not showing disrespect to Bournemouth. I do believe we have adequate backup to take a Dougie Luiz out of there for a week, to take Luca Dean out of there for a week, and still be ultra competitive in those positions. And that's where we're at now. This is why we've seen all the big boys do this for the last 30 years of the Premier League. It happens year in, year out. We must stay humble. Yeah, no, absolutely, we must stay humble. We can try. We do get carried away from time to time, but we'll try and be humble. But let's not forget, we're sitting in what could be a Champions League spot, all going well at the end of this season, the 5th place. So we're right to be excited. We're right to be looking down on the teams that are below us. We've been talked about in some shit situations over the last 7 or 8 years. It's great not to be looking down and worrying about what's going on below us. It's great. It's great to be not like, can you imagine 3 years ago Everton getting that 10-point deduction? We'd have been celebrating instead of commiserating with them. That's just the beauty of the position we're in now. So be thankful that we're up here, and we'll try and stay humble, but we may as well admit now that we're going to get very excited if things keep going the way they are.
And there's no point to like, as I said, we will be humble, but when we win games, we will celebrate them like they're it's gone out of fashion. I think we should, because there's no point being a fan and tempering excitement and tempering a celebration. But Michael is dead right. You can still celebrate and you can be excited, but you still have to show the utmost respect, I suppose, really, to other teams and other fans, and not get we see an awful lot of it on Twitter, whereby, like, you guys will know who've listened to the podcast, I can't stand the fake rivalries. Like, I think the Villa Leeds thing, fake rivalry. Villa Newcastle, fake rivalry. Just it's not for me. That kind of stuff. But I'm not here to tell anybody else how to fan. But I will get excited if we beat Newcastle later on this season, or when we beat Newcastle later on this season, should I say. There's me after saying stay humble, and I'm talking about when we beat Newcastle next season. Paddy, I suppose now is really not the time, I think, but we'll go through it in the team sheet tantrum, but it's going to be an interesting one, an interesting tantrum, I think, because we will have so many people who potentially could get the start. But I think that ultimately, knowing the Sultan of Unai, he's going to go with Tielemans in that left-sided role because it worked pretty well when we've played it recently, and he's very much a kind of a guy that will probably stick with that. I think for the weekend and hold the guys that we've spoken about that are coming back from injury in reserve.
Yeah, look, the reason we had these team sheet tantrums initially is because we didn't know what team was going to be available or what team they put out.
Yeah.
And now it's an exciting time where you're looking at what's he going to do with that player. How is that player in this system? Where does that player fit in? And it's amazing. It's great to be in this position. That it's actually the excitement of an hour before kickoff when this drops. The one question that I ask you, well, sometimes I forget, but I do ask you on the team sheet tantrum is which one of these players comes into our team. And the reality of it is most of them are either injured or suspended, which is great, like, for us. So it's an opportunity. That's not us being arrogant or being, like Michael is saying, let's not be Arsenal. That's the reality. We've done so well. We've won all those games in a row at home. We've performed out of our skins all season. So we'd have to expect to go there and really put it up to whoever they put out at the weekend with all those injuries and suspensions.
Could you imagine Heung-min Son in this team? Could you imagine it, Paddy? Could you? I bloody love it. Or even a James Maddison in there playing in behind or beside Ollie Watkins. Yeah, so there's a couple of people you could pick that you could bring into this team for sure. Yeah. But but look, I'm very happy with who we have.
In a back three,
he'd have to be. That's exactly it. You'd have to be. Yeah. That's the way I would see it, and that's not denigrating Van de Ven. He was absolutely outstanding until he got injured. But so have our guys. Our guys have been outstanding too. You know,
and as you know, I was in Amsterdam at the weekend, and when I was Copus Mentis, all the Dutch people that I spoke to reckon he is the next Virgil van Dijk. They reckon he's going to be better than Virgil van Dijk. They've huge aspirations for him, being even bigger than Spurs. They're talking about him going to Real Madrid and Barcelona and all these places. So they obviously have been following his career throughout. And look, he got a nice baptism playing in the Bundesliga, so it'll be interesting to see how he pans out. But I think they've got a really, really good player in their hands. But he won't be there on Sunday, thankfully.
Yeah, and nor will the player who I most think would be likely to ring up Vince McMahon and end up in WWE, Christian Romero, won't be there either. I think he could make a great wrestler, and he's got a lot of finishing moves. He's tried out a lot of finishing moves on the football field over the last 2 years since he's been in the Premier League as well. But yeah, we will be back with a team sheet tantrum. We're really looking forward to this one. I'm a bit low energy today and I'm stumbling over my words, so I do apologise. What's new? I can hear you all say at the back. But we will be back with a team sheet tantrum.
We will be on location for the team sheet tantrum on Sunday because the Limerick Lions and the Cork Lions are having their Christmas party, and we're all going off to Cork for the day. So if you're in the Cork Lions or in the vicinity of Cork, drop me a message. I'll tell you where we'll be. And we'll have a good old day of it. So I'll be merry for the team sheet tantrum. I might not make the aftermatch. We'll see.
That's the job. I'll do it. That makes me think. No, maybe I should drop in and join the Connacht Lions in Taffs on Sunday. Maybe it's been a while.
Why not? It's been a while. Yeah.
But listen, join us for the team sheet tantrum, and we will have a post match anyway afterwards, win, lose or draw, and we'd love to see you there. If you missed it last night, or if you missed Twitter, you can check out on Twitter. We do have some hats for sale. So if you guys want them, reason being is a lot of people have reached out via DM. Bucket hats, bobble hats, right here beside me. We took a delivery of them. There's a couple of them up on sale on our website for loveofpaulmcgrath.com. And there's also some T-shirts from a drop ship company there as well. If anybody wants one for their nearest and dearest at Christmas time, we've gotten a few DMs. They're there and they're available for you guys to buy on our website. Also, as well, thank you very much to everybody at Sports Social Podcast Network as well. There's a couple of things potentially in the pipeline with regards to that coming. I was reluctant enough to say it, but it's after coming out of my mouth, just in case things don't happen in the new year around March or April time next year. So keep an eye out for that. If you guys are thinking of unsubscribing, at least stay subscribed until March or April to see if these things come true. Because if they do, they'll be pretty cool. That'd be nice, I suppose, more so than pretty cool. And we'd love to have you guys along.
Forget, we do have a podcast booked in Birmingham, a live podcast. We can't confirm it just yet because we need to put some meat on the bones, but I am over next week for the Warsaw game, and hopefully we'll have everything firmed up by then, and we can start figuring out what we do with the podcast, because we can't just come and look at our two mugs and listen to us talking, so we'll have to try and get some special guests in for a chat. I'm sure there'll be no shortage, but it's not easy to get someone to give up their Friday or Saturday to come and talk to Villa fans who are drunk in a hostelry in Birmingham, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out for sure. Anyway, we're going to leave you at that. Thanks very much. And for any of our American friends who are watching this, thank you for spending time on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you for any of the guys in America. I'm off to watch some football. American football, that is. But I'll see you all again on Sunday at 12:50 for our Team Sheet Tantrum. But until then, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.